4. I gave you all I had to give, and I've done the best I can. So now it's up to you to finish what I began. Yes, I will always love you, and I'll be there just for you. So in all that you do, my child, to yourself you must be true. So promise me that you will fight for what it is that you believe. No matter what you do in life, it's in the giving that you'll receive. Wherever the road may take you, those you meet along the way, promise me that you will count your blessings every day.
And a very good afternoon, actually a very good evening as I'm recording this. This is Jason Hawes on American Faith Today, and a brand new platform for me, brand new intro music, but the same old show, although I am, in one sense, maybe trying to reboot it. We'll see exactly what I do with it. Basically, for those who are unfamiliar with me or the show, this is a show, American Faith Today, that I have been doing for almost 4 years now. On the online podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it, platform. I started out in December of 2012 or thereabouts over on Blog Talk Radio, which some of you, or maybe all of you, are familiar with, some perhaps not. But I started out over there in December of 2012. I started out and actually was always on the free package over there. With the free package at Blog Talk Radio, you really don't get a whole heck of a lot. Although, obviously, you get what you pay for, and I knew that going in. And you basically did all of your own show promoting. And I have never been a super aggressive marketer in that sense. And so the audience that I had was people who were very interested in the show, very interested in topics, but not necessarily the largest audience. Certainly, obviously, everyone would like to have as many people as possible listening. But anyway, with the free platform over there, you got a 30-minute show with actually an additional 15 minutes of kind of going over that allotted time. They gave you up to 45 minutes to talk. And again, I did it for 4 years almost. I went to do a show there last weekend, last Sunday, and did the show right up, titled the show, went to create the show, and found that I could no longer do that. And basically, they changed their terms and conditions for some of us that were on the free package over there, to where they decided, okay, we're looking at you people, and we've decided that if you want to continue to do a show, you can continue to do a show, but we want you to pay something to do it. And a couple of the lower level options were $12 a month, which I initially signed up for, but with that, there was no creating a show, a new show, or going live with a new show on Blog Talk. Basically, you had to upload a podcast that was already created either on Blog Talk or from some other platform. So that was a no-go for me. The other option, the next lowest option, was $39 a month. Certainly affordable, although I am trying to save as much money and keep as much money from going out as I can. But also, with that, you could continue to do a show, you could continue to create new shows, but you had 2 hours of time to fill. And while I'm sure could have found enough material to fill 2 hours of time, I really didn't want to do that. Again, this is something that has been, in a sense, hobby for me, and certainly I do work outside of doing this show. And so with my schedule and with what I was willing to dedicate to it time-wise, doing a 2-hour show really wasn't of interest to me at this time. So that pretty much ended my time at Blog Talk Radio, and I have found this platform, which hopefully will work out as well, if not better, in Spreaker. And I wanted to start today, and again, for anyone who is new to listening to the show, that has just discovered it or just discovered me, what I typically do and what I will continue to do with American Faith Today, I am a conservative Christian, and I will talk about and have talked about in the past political topics, cultural topics, occasionally some economic topics, and biblical or scriptural topics and studies even on my show. That's basically what I did at Blog Talk Radio with American Faith Today. And that's what I'll continue to do here, maybe trying to adjust a few things. But what I've decided to do here on this new platform is I'm already doing something that I haven't done in the past, because while I've done Bible studies, I've never really focused on a particular book. Everything has been topical, whether it's Where Are the Dead, whether it is, I don't recall if I did a show on the rapture theory over at Blog Talk Radio, but topics that were strictly, or biblical topics that were strictly topical or one subject, rather than a straight study of the Bible or of a book. I do want to add that I am in no way do I fashion myself to be a Bible teacher. I am a student who is always trying to learn more, and this is just me sharing, planting some seeds, sharing some thoughts, and taking what I have been fortunate to have been taught, and in terms of basically not only the Bible, but in searching out some of the deeper truths of the Bible for myself. This is what I will do, this is what I'm trying to do here with the book of Daniel, which is my first series of shows here on Spreaker. The book of Daniel is I think a rather timely topic, because there are many Christians, obviously, who believe that we are in the last generation, the generation of the fig tree, if you will. And the book of Daniel deals with that last generation. The book of Daniel itself, though, is a book that is basically half history and half prophecy, with the first 6 chapters being historical, the last 6 chapters being prophetic. But even with the historical books, keep in mind that as Paul wrote in, I believe, 1 Corinthians, that the things that happened in the past were for and are for our admonition, for our learning, for our warning upon, as Paul put it, upon that generation, that the ends of the earth would come, which is, again, I believe, certainly this generation. We can also go back to even Solomon in the book of Ecclesiastes, where it is written that that which has been shall be again, and there is no new thing under the sun. So anything that has happened in the past, particularly if you have any type for Antichrist, type for the end, then while the same thing may not happen, certainly not with the same people, and while some of the circumstances may be different, in many ways it'll be a type, and it will be repeated as happened in history before us. But again, Daniel, a book half history, half prophecy, also half written in Hebrew and half written in Aramaic or Chaldee, which was the language of the Babylonians at that time. And I'll try to document or point out the point in which it switches over to the Aramaic or Chaldee language, and then when it switches back to the Hebrew. And some scholars have pointed out that the Aramaic and the Chaldee are referring to the time of the Gentiles, and when it switches back to Hebrew, it looks forward to the Reformation, restoration, and even rejoining of Israel as one stick, ultimately, both houses, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. That being said, let's turn to the book of Daniel. Again, Daniel meaning God is judge, or God is my judge. And so it is that God is the judge for all of us. And no matter what an individual has coming to them, whether it's good, whether it's bad, or whether it's anything in between, God will judge. He will judge fairly. He will judge rightly. And whatever we do in this life, whatever we do with this Word of God, basically He will judge each and every one of us on what we know from this Word and what we did with it. And so it is. But anyway, Daniel, God is judge. And we're going to start with chapter 1, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And this was at the time, or by the way, this took place roughly about 497 BC. Daniel was thought to be about 16 years old at the time that this happened. Born in, again, roughly around 513 BC. But this is the point in which basically God had had enough of the going astray and the idolatry of Judah. And, I believe that if you look at 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, you'll find that God, while He is patient with all of His children, He was maybe even a little more patient with Judah for the sake of for the sake of David, whom of course He loved very much, was you might say the first pretty good king over Israel. Saul, of course, the first man king over Israel. But God had a lot of love for David, even though he, of course, wasn't perfect. But whenever he did mess up, he repented. He tried to do what was right by God for most of his life. And God rewarded him for him and made some promises, including that as long as his children continued to, as long as his seed continued to try to follow God, that there would never lack a man or woman, as the case may be, for sitting on the throne from David's seed line over God's people. And so it is that even the royal seed line of England, with the current queen and those who came before her and any who may come after her, trace their ancestry back to King David. But eventually, even as Judah saw the idolatry of Israel that ultimately led to God finally bringing in the Assyrian to capture, conquer, and scatter them, Judah, unfortunately, waxed worse and worse. And again, you can find in 1st, 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Kings, unfortunately went even further astray and deeper into idolatry than what the house of Israel did. And eventually God used Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon to take Judah captive and to correct them. Verse 2, and the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And you think even prophetically, and you think types, and inasmuch as Nebuchadnezzar was a type for the Antichrist, there's going to be a time, again, not too far down the road in all likelihood, in which you will see the greatest idolater of all, the greatest blasphemer of all, the greatest abomination of all, Antichrist, Satan in that war, in the temple of God, claiming to be God, and defiling that temple at that time. But again, even the negative part of God's plan, all for the correction, all for the testing, and all for the correcting of his people. And all to determine just who has studied this word, who knows it, and quite frankly, who does not. And certainly all any of us can do is our best to study and rightly divide the word. But Nebuchadnezzar was even used by God. You can document that in Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 6, where God refers to him as his servant, as his way of trying to correct and get his people's attention. Verse 3, and the king spake unto Ashpenaz,